Hello everyone. This interview is with Dave Cox, entrepreneur out of Brooklyn, New York. I wanted to interview him because he has such a great story. In the community, people would call him a hustler. He's had several businesses that he's owned, and I wanted to get into the details of how he grew up, where he's from. I also wanted to find out what are some of the things that he did when he first got started before he was an entrepreneur. I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also a success coach. My name is Double Platinum Senior Vice President Tishina Anderson. After being in network marketing for 6 years, a lot of what I do is I help other people to build their business. Welcome to the world of success. I really wanted to get into the details of how his life was. We started off by going to where Dave grew up. Good. So what were you like as a child? Were you quiet? Were you rambunctious? What were you like?
No, I was never quiet.
No?
I think you can tell.
I was hoping you were going to say
rambunctious,
yeah.
Playful. I was the only child, so I had to play by myself a lot. I had to make up things, whatever it was. Very imaginative, so I wasn't quiet at all as a kid.
No?
Yeah.
Did you go off to college, or where did you stop your education?
Yeah, I went to community college.
Local community college?
Local community college, yeah.
And then what was your first job?
I worked at the parks department, cleaning up in the summertime.
Okay.
Like a summer job. I worked at the parks department. Then the next real job after that, I worked at Macy's as a stockroom person. And I was devastated because it was like a Christmas time job, and I couldn't believe that they didn't keep me on. But it was a blessing in disguise because I ended up getting the job at Verizon right after that.
Okay, so how long did you work for Verizon?
Worked for Verizon 19 years, 3 months, 2 days, too long.
What did you do for Verizon?
I was a telephone technician, so I was the one you see climbing the poles, fixing the wires in the street, installing the phones and repairing them in your house. That's what I did for when I was there. Would
you say that was a job that you enjoyed?
I actually did enjoy it. It was different every day. So I was out in the street. Every job was different. It wasn't like I was at a desk and did the same mundane thing every single day. So I did enjoy it.
So out of all the businesses that you've owned, did you start entrepreneurship while you were working for Verizon?
Yeah, about 5 years in.
5 years in after okay, so you 5 years into the Verizon.
I started trying different businesses.
What was the first thing that you said you started?
I had a cellular store. I had a fish market. One of the first things I had was a fish market with one of my good friends' father had owned a fish market for a long time called Duncan Fish Market, and I got involved in that.
How much money did it cost to invest in it?
Because it was an established business, all we did was renovated it, but it cost us like $4,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty cheap, and it was already established, so that was good. So
why didn't you quit your job once that?
Oh, it wasn't enough money to quit.
Not enough?
Yeah, it was just getting my feet wet as far as business was concerned.
A lot of people take a look at entrepreneurship and they're ready to get started. And the minute they own something or start something, they're ready to quit that job. Here you are, 5 years into Verizon, but you go all the way up to 19 years of trying different businesses to find out what's right for you, right? That's impressive. How could you wait that long? Then you have the urge to just say, I'm ready to quit.
It was sort of, when you look back in hindsight, it was really stupidity and having a level of comfort, not wanting to let go of something that really wasn't going to have me truly wealthy.
Okay.
Because I stayed there for stupid reasons, like I wanted to have medical benefits. When now I pay for my medical benefits for the year up front.
Right.
So I was holding on to things that really wasn't important, which I thought was important because that's what I seen and saw everybody else doing.
Right.
Until I started to learn differently, then I knew, well, what are you really holding on to? It was like even down to the last 19 years, I was saying, well, if I could only just finish off 20. It was almost like some kind of personal accomplishment for myself, but it was stupid. I was like, I had to talk to myself like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Right.
This is hindering you.
Right.
And after I left is when I really started having huge successes, because now I was able to really get out there and grind and do what I really knew I could do all that time.
Would you say as a child, you know, growing up here, that you would ever think that you would be as much a success as you are today?
I definitely knew that I was going to be successful in some shape or form. I didn't know how it was going to happen. And it's funny that you asked that, because if you had told me when I was 20 that I would have what I have today, I would tell you that I would have been straight. But I'm nowhere near straight as far as I'm concerned. Right. So it's just funny when you look back in hindsight. You always think when you get to a certain level you're going to be straight, but when you get to that level you always realize you're striving and searching for more.
I can relate, because I always think that, or I always thought that once I got to a certain income level that I would be ready to like go vacation and travel the world and do everything. And even though I travel the world and I do things, I do it in moderation. It's not like I do it all the time. And I actually now enjoy working. Where I'm ready to come off vacation so I can get back to work.
Something in us innately just has us always striving for more. So you could look at the same thing with Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. What makes them get up every morning? When you get to their level, their dreams become their goals.
Right.
They look to do things that people have never done. And that's what their legacy is a part of, because they have money for their kids. They could just ride off into the sunset and relax for the rest of their lives. But it's something innately in us as humans that just have us strive for more. At least the bosses.
Now we're on our way to Dave's IHOP. It's based in Brooklyn, New York, and this is the #1 producing IHOP in the world. Is that incredible? Let's find out a little bit about how does Dave run his franchise, and let's find out some things hopefully that you guys, if you want to open up your own franchise, something that you can use as well. Dave Cox has actually owned a Checkers, a Papa John's. He has owned a nightclub, real estate. He has stock, a beauty salon, a barbershop, a meat market, a gold business, and also a network marketing business. And he's also had his hands in the music industry. I mean, that's a whole lot, right?
An entrepreneur is someone that sees a need and fulfills it. So at the end of the day, I was working a long time, and I knew that if I took good calculated risk, that something would hit. And that something would pay for everything that I failed at. But at the end of the day, I had to try different things that I was successful at. But sometimes the success only lasts for a moment. So it's like a newlywed. It has that honeymoon period. So you're highly successful, like the nightclub.
Right.
It has a period that it just does great, but it always falls off. You know, people are finicky. They like new places. They like new things. So I made a lot of money during that time, but then it has that other time that it starts going downwards. So you can't get emotional when it comes to business. When it's not working, you got to get rid of it. And that's what's been happening. So it seems like I've owned a lot of things, but times where it wasn't doing good, I had to get rid of it. And sometimes you know when the downward turn is coming, so you try to get rid of it before it gets to the bottom so it's still worth something.
This is not your first franchise. What was your first franchise?
It's called Famous Seafood. And we had 3 of them. We had one in New Jersey, we had one in Harlem on 125th Street, and we had one in Brooklyn on Rutland Avenue. It was great. It was great for the time that it lasted, and it had that honeymoon period, which did real well. So a lot of times we always got our money back, but it was the longevity of the business that needed to be sustained. And when you start taking good money to pay for bad money, it's time to get rid of it.
Papa John's was your next business. What went wrong with the Papa John's?
I don't believe anything went wrong. I just believe that it was time to move on. You know, you start realizing certain things about the business that takes up a lot of time. And a lot of times when you build these businesses to a point where it's bankrolling money, the money that somebody will pay you versus the time it will make you to make the money is usually best to take the money that they're going to pay you. So you build an area, they know what is bankrolling, and then now you charge them based on what the business is bankrolling.
Okay.
So now it's worth way more money than what you would net per year.
Okay.
So say if they was to give you $1 million,
okay,
and you're only making $100,000 a year, you take the $1 million, so you wouldn't have wait 10 years to make the $1 million.
Right.
And now you could take that $1 million and go on to something bigger.
How many real estate properties do you have now?
My first home was like one of my greatest real estate plays. I bought it in a neighborhood which was downtown Brooklyn, and it wasn't that great. I paid about $200,000 for it, $230, something like that. And it went through that phase and that period where the area started changing, and now 12, 13 years later is worth $1.5 million. The best real estate thing that I'm doing now is, we're probably going to go see it later, is like a $15 million project I'm doing where I'm putting an IHOP in it, but it's going to be 4 floors, and hospital's going to be in there, dollar store, gym. That's probably the biggest real estate thing that I've ever embarked on.
Talk about some of the things that you've done, because I always find it, interesting even when I hear about it. You've worked with Keisha Cole. Who are some of the other people that you've worked with, and what actually do you do in the music industry?
I manage artists or have label. I have an artist by the name of Travante. He was signed to Interscope Records. I had an artist named P back in the days. He was signed to RCA.
Okay.
My partner managed Foxy Brown, so I used to work with them a lot on different things, after parties whatsoever have you. For Keisha, I used to do a lot of her after parties in her touring. So pretty much management and label wise I deal with as far as music industry is concerned. My other buddy Manny Haley, he managed Keisha, so that's how I broke into doing that.
Okay.
My other buddy of mine's Don Poole. He works with Mary J very closely when he used to be vice president up at where was he? MCA Records. Mm-hmm. And now he does sort of the same thing for her. He does a lot of her after parties and things, so forth. So that's how much in the capacity I've been in the music industry. Really was trying to break through all that time, and then really realized that I couldn't live by it. So I had to take a break from it, go really make my money outside of it, and then come back to it where I wasn't slave to whatever the label said I had to do. Okay. So if they said, we'll give you $100,000 for this artist, I'd be like, well, I'll put my own $100,000 out. Like, I don't need your 100, Right. Whereas before I would have took it just because I was thirsty for a deal.
Right.
So things have changed in that nature. Now I just do music for fun.
We're sitting here in your IHOP, which you've had for 4 years, correct?
Correct.
IHOP. What, out of all these things, like, how did you think of, let me purchase an IHOP?
We were in my club, and my lawyer came in, and he was talking about IHOP, a deal that he had, and I was like, wow, IHOP. What does it take to do an IHOP? And we looked it up. We said, well, we fit that criteria. And then we looked at a couple and we said, we fit that criteria, let's apply. And then 5 interviews later, here we were flying to California to meet the owner, the CEO, and here we are doing IHOPs. But it was never on our radar to ever do it.
Right.
But you go with what makes sense. You provide a need that we seen in the marketplace, and that need ended up paying off.
You guys pretty much hold that ranking of being the #1 IHOP in the U.S. No, correct. In the world?
In the world.
In the world.
In the world.
My corrections.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to franchising, I think a lot of people want to know, okay, you're the #1, but do you really play a part in that, or is location playing a part in that?
We didn't have to put advertising out or flyers out for people to run inside the doors. They knew already what it was, and they ran inside. So I think location was actually very key in the business doing what it did. For years it was only one IHOP in Brooklyn.
IHOP franchise obviously is not a cheap investment. It's not something that you just wake up one day and you say, oh, I want to own an IHOP. Obviously there's a lot that goes into it. If you don't mind sharing, I'm sure this is public record, but how much does it cost to get started with an IHOP?
It costs $1 million to build out the IHOP.
Okay.
Which $50,000 of that is a franchise fee. You build it out yourself. You have to do your own financing or build it all cash, and they take 7% off the gross. So whatever you make gross, that's what they take their 7% out of. It's not what you bring home. they take 7% off the gross of what you make.
How many employees do you have here?
I have about 70, 80 employees here.
70, 80 employees? Wow. That's a lot of people. How many managers do you have?
This location, 5 managers.
Making sure no one's taking any money.
They have things in place as far as POS systems and cost of food, and if you're ordering a certain amount of food, you should be making a certain amount of money. So they pretty much know if something's not entailed.
One of the things that I think everybody knows about franchises is the system that is in place. It's like, okay, why invest money into a franchise? Whether it be a McDonald's, which is most people what they're familiar with when you talk about systems. They always say that, a 14-year-old could run a McDonald's franchise. In reference to IHOP, what kind of system do they have? And is it as easy as someone would say is at McDonald's where a 14-year-old could run it for you?
The system is in place. It worked for years for them, so it's going to work for you. You do exactly what the system is, and you don't deviate it, just like network marketing, right? And what you're supposed to do is what you will do. The food has to taste the same here as it tastes in Kansas, as it tastes in California. Right. And that's why the system is in place, so that you won't be serving meatloaf somewhere and some oxtail somewhere else. Right. We don't do oxtail, you know? So that's the beauty of a system, why we got in a system more than a traditional business, where it's a lot of bumps and bruises and you're trying to learn as you go along. They already took the bumps and bruises for you so that you can not make those same mistakes that they made when they was building their brand. Because you own an IHOP, you obviously know about other franchises. You've owned other franchises. What would you say if you would open up another franchise? Not an IHOP, but something else. What would that next franchise be? I do what works. And I don't do something just because it's popular. If it's a void or a need in the marketplace, then I'll fulfill it. And if that happen to be a franchise, that's what the next thing will be. Okay. So if I see something up and coming, I'm reading Fortune, or I'm reading the Inc. 500 or something like that, and I see an up and coming thing, or I go somewhere and I taste something that's incredible, and I do my research on it, and I say, you know what, I think this will work in New York area, or I think it might work in Miami. It's a void for this thing here. Then I'll look to embark on it. What would you say are the positives to owning a franchise, and what are some of the negatives? The obvious positive is, depending on the size of your franchise, is freedom. You dictate your hours, you dictate when you go to work, when you choose not to go to work. You have people working for you. The negative is people. And things that can happen in business, you know, especially a place like this is like all my children. You have the cook might be sleeping with the hostess. They come in together and they're not happy, so one is not going to do for the other, and now you become a therapist. You're dealing with all kind of other problems that normally you wouldn't have to do if you just going to work, Right. So people in problems like a pipe busting or electricity going out, or something that is going to just affect your daily business, permitting, whatever the case is. Why don't you just give them a roundabout, how much time does it take really to, and why don't you explain as well as why I would even think that in order to be serious about entrepreneurship, you can't ask that question. Talk about that, and maybe also talk about how much time does it really take you. I think minimum is whatever hours it opens to whatever hours it closes, and then how many hours after that it takes to do all your books to prepare for the next day and what you've taken in for the day. So you could say at any rate, at least minimum 13, 14 hours a day. Right. But it's been as much as 20, It just all depends. Right. But entrepreneurs just don't have a time. You work from 8 to faint. Right. It just is what it is. I like that, 8 to faint. Why is it that we would so much prefer that than going back to the 9 to 5? It's so much more fulfilling. You're working for yourself. You're building wealth for yourself. You're not building it for somebody else. So you don't never mind working until you dog tired, because it's for a purpose that is for you. Right. You're not making somebody else rich and busting your tail for them to make money, and they're just giving you a salary. right? You're working, but it's something towards you working. You know, it's like you renting versus paying a mortgage. You know, you're paying, the mortgage is a lot, but you're paying towards your ownership. Right. And I kind of relate that to the same way as being an entrepreneur and owning your own business. You never mind working for yourself because it's an investment for yourself and not somebody else.
Dave really lets you know that a lot of people who want to get into entrepreneurship, they want to do it for all the fun reasons, or I believe it's something for me. And what he lets you know is that entrepreneurship is about what makes sense, what makes money. So hopefully the next time you venture into your next business, you'll think about the cash flow and not so much as, is it fun? He has this little pyramid on his desk, which most people believe that that's what they're in when they're in network marketing. Why don't you talk to everyone about why? Why do you do network marketing?
Because it makes sense, like everything else. But more importantly, I wasn't ignorant to the fact that when my friends came and told me about it, I already knew what network marketing could do. I just was looking for the right vehicle. And who better to trust than my friends that were in it and that was successful already. So when they came to me with it, I was already in telecommunications because I worked for Verizon for 19 years. So I already knew where the industry was going. So it just made even more sense for me to get involved. And when I got involved, I knew that it was something that I had to really go forward and put my best effort with, which I do with everything, but I knew that this can really liberate people. And that was mostly because people all the time ask me, how can I open an IHOP? How can I do a club? And it was like, your path is not going to be my path. Right. You know, you might not be able to withstand losing a couple $100,000 and still keep going and keep trying business. But now I was able to give them an opportunity that would cost them what a pair of shoes, good shoes, might cost, and now they can make more money than a brain surgeon. So that's why I always go back to you, telling you that you really don't appreciate the industry that you're in.
Right.
Because if you did, you would understand not only that you're a businesswoman that's liberating people, but at the same time, you're making money by byproduct of it.
I will say, after 6 years, there is a part of me that doesn't appreciate it fully because of who knows, you know, maybe it's because I'm young and I think I always appreciate what it's done for me, and I definitely appreciate the company that I'm a part of. I think I'm always that person that's like, okay, well, shouldn't I be doing other things too? And you know, you made a comment which I thought was, I think that was my aha moment today when you said if network marketing was your first business that you would have gotten started with and it would have done great things for you, which is doing great things for you now, but you know, exceeding because you've been in it for such a long time, that probably would be the only business that you would have decided to do.
If I had embarked on network marketing like yourself, right out of working, I probably would have never went to brick and mortar, because to me it wouldn't have made any sense to take this huge amount of money and huge amount of risk to make the same amount of money that I can make in network marketing with not even a quarter of the investment. Mm-hmm. So that alone would have deterred me from risking $1 million. Right. Or risking a couple $100,000 in something else. I could put all my efforts and all my work into this and end up making the same amount of money eventually if I work hard enough and I build a big enough team.
In a traditional business, there's a lot of things that come along with it. You know, between the capital that you need to get it started, the employees that will drive you crazy, and everything that it takes just to run it, the day-to-day ins and outs. But network marketing, there are a lot of rewards.
I appreciate the road that I've taken, because now the money that I make from network marketing, I already have the experience where I can go and invest in other things.
Right.
So you got to appreciate the path that you go down to benefit to do other things later.
Okay, the percentage-wise, you know, you said all these businesses that I've owned, but percentage-wise, network marketing has definitely been that business where it was a low risk, but it was such a high return. Out of everything that you've owned, this has given you the highest return on your investment.
If I sat down, pen to paper, and seen the amount of profit that I've made by what I've invested, it far more exceeds anything else that I've ever done. You know, I make a lot of money in franchising, but I had to spend a lot of money. So versus the amount of money that I spent to what I've made, it's been good. But versus network marketing when I got in and versus what I made so far, it doesn't come nowhere close.
One of the things you always hear is how important it is to have multiple streams of income. And Dave is definitely not a stranger to his multiple streams. One thing I like most about him is that, you know, not only does he have traditional businesses, but he also has a network marketing business. He's involved in a company called 5 Links.
If you spend time in network marketing and you spend that 14 hours a week that we spoke about, which is very part-time still, it's so much more fulfilling because you're helping people. Now, when you come off stage and somebody says, those words that you spoke changed my life. I was about to go down this road, but what you said changed my life. Like, you can't replace that with anything else.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's so fulfilling what you do, so it don't even seem like work. It's just like preaching into people's lives and changing their lives, who's ever willing to grasp it.
So I hear Dave say this all the time. He says, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. What does that mean?
You know, so many people get involved in network marketing and, you know, it's their first business and they get so caught up in your words and everything that you say that it's like they drank the Kool-Aid.
Right.
You know, it's like the Jim Jones thing. Like, you really believe that you were going off into heaven. It's like, it's still reality. Yeah. So you can get caught up on all these words and leave the place floating, but if you don't put any of those words into action, you'll never be successful in network marketing. So that's what we always say. You know, we always joke around that, oh, she drank the Kool-Aid. That's so funny.
I would say that what New York has done, and some of the guys in the business, the business owners, you've said it several times where you said you've made the industry cool again. What does that mean? We
had to make it cool, but it really doesn't matter, because if you're really trying to change your family life, you don't care if it's cool or not. It might be cool to own an IHOP, but at the end of the day, if you have an IHOP that's not making no money, you could be as cool as you want to be.
Right.
But you own something that might not be cool to everybody, but it's cash flowing. Who cares? You know? So it's sort of like funny that we had to make it cool for something that really doesn't need to be cool because it makes sense and it makes money.
I don't do it for the money anymore.
Don't do it for the money.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I get on these phone calls, I'm doing 3-ways, I'm meeting people, and I do it because I'm waiting to see that next person in my business that is going to say, thank you for changing my life.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Now I have more time with my kids. You know, now I have more money. I'm waiting for that to happen. I know it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But I invest so much time because I'm waiting for those results of someone's life to change. Like my life has changed.
Yeah, so if you know Tawan, you know he's like a real cool kind of suave guy.
Right.
And we're in the Sixtine Chapel in Rome. It's beautiful. We're looking at the picture, the painting on the ceiling with, you know, God and Adam is touching fingers, and we're looking at it and it just doesn't look real because you've seen it reproduced so many times. So we're looking at this, and then I turn around and I look at Tawan and tears is welling up in his eye. And if you know Tawan, you know he's the type of guy that he's real cool. He's a real suave guy. I'm like, yo, bro, is everything all right? He turned to me and he said, what if I had said no? And right there, I just knew that I'm not in this business for money. I'm in the business for that.
Right.
Because there's no amount of money in the world that could replace what he told me. And I knew by that, he's saying, what if I had said no? He was saying, thanks for the opportunity. Because his kids' lives are going to be changed forever. He don't drive the bus anymore. He's in Rome. He said, I probably would have never, ever been here. And for that time, hands down, this is why I do the business, is just to liberate people and get that same reaction every time.
Can't get that with an IHOP.
Can't get it. Nobody's going to tell me you changed my life by serving these plates. They could do it for 20 years, 30 years. If they never make a decision to get out of that rut and take some change in their life, they're going to continue to serve 20, 30 years. But it's all right, because not everybody, that's why God made everybody the way they are. If everybody wanted to be a chief, we would have no workers. We don't have nobody to clean the streets. We don't have nobody to serve you at the restaurant. Everybody would want to be a boss. This world wouldn't function. That's why I tell my reps every time,
when somebody tells you no, they're supposed to tell you no.
Right.
If everybody was as in tune as how you are, this world wouldn't function. So when you get the no, you understand that you were supposed to say that. Now I'm going to go look for the person like me that's going to say yes, it's going to change their life and be part of that 3% and not the 97% side.
Today, my mindset is different. My mindset says today that I'm not working with everybody I see because I know that everybody can't handle it. I work with enough people to know I'm tired of signing people in and you don't do anything with it. And I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking just to sign you up just to get you in the system so I can put you in and you hit a pin level. Now, it's just different today because my perspective is different. It's almost like you have to interview now to be in business with me. If not, we'll sign up with somebody else because I'm about helping somebody to have success quick.
We've been in the place you grew up. We've been to your IHOP restaurant, and now we're at the third location, which is you're breaking ground. New building that you're building.
New building. It's more of a real estate play more than just IHOP itself, because the IHOP is just going to take off a little portion of this. It's really a big building. It's about 80,000 square feet. And it's going to encompass a whole bunch of different businesses.
Tell me more about the project. When is the building going to finally be finished? Do you have any idea on the projections and what's actually going to be inside the building?
Well, the projection is by the end of this year, so probably like October, November it'll be done. What's going to be inside of the building is IHOP, of course.
Okay.
And we have some other tenants that's looking at it, a gym, hospital is taking part of it, so it's going to be interesting, the things that's coming. I don't want to let them all out the bag just yet. Some of them are in an interim of signing leases and things of that nature, so it'll be stuff that's going to complement the neighborhood.
Okay. How many partners do you have in this project?
One partner.
I hear a lot of older people always say, if I could tell myself something back then, or if I know what I know today, back then, things would have been so much, better or different. What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Wow. Well, I think more than tell my 20-year-old self, give him advice, I pretty much like the way I came up and everything that I went through, because it was all learning lessons. But more so I would tell that person, because when I was 20, I used to think that if I had what I had today, that I would be all right. And I wouldn't have to do anything else. But now that be good. But now that I'm living in it, I'm nowhere near good. So I would tell that person that be patient. The things that you will acquire, you're still gonna want and need more. So keep striving to do what you do, and also when you get to that place where you think you want to be, it's still a whole lot more in the future.
I want to know, what's your secret to your success? I think success is measured by so many different things, and you've done a lot in the years that you've been here. But what do you believe sets you apart from everyone else? What's your secret?
Well, I think one of my main secrets is commitment to what I'm doing, persistency, resiliency, and just a never die attitude. I refuse to lose. The bottom line is, I didn't dream about success, I worked for it. And once you work hard at anything and committed to it and know it's really truly going to work, you're going to find success behind that.
Well, there it is. We have Dave Cox, entrepreneur, business owner. I mean, I can't even list everything that you've actually taken part of and owned in your lifetime, but it's been a pleasure to definitely have short lifetime. Okay, now skip that. Funny. Okay, yeah, skip that. Let's try it again. This video was shot in April of 2012, and unfortunately Dave lost his life to cancer in October of 2012. We will forever remember him. He leaves behind such a huge legacy to his wife and his children. And if you knew Dave, you knew that Dave was always the life of the party. We'll remember that, but not only that, I think the thing to take away from this the most is just Dave's tenacity. He understood the 3 keys to success: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And hopefully you'll take a piece of him with you as you go about your new ventures and trying out entrepreneurship for yourself. Because we all know that life is definitely too short. So don't waste it. Okay, so I meet a lot of people who like own hair salons, barbershops. They have traditional businesses. I don't, even a pastor at a church, or that's a business in my opinion. Everything is like a traditional business, but a lot of people don't understand or understand the value that network marketing can be to them as a business. Why do you think that? Why don't you think people get it? Like, why don't they get that this could be a great business for them?
The funny thing is they don't get it because it's not what they've been taught.
Right.
So the same way an employee thinks that a good job is a good job. You've been taught from school all the way up to going to college that you need to get a job. Well, it's the same thing, that whatever you see is what you think success really is. So when you open a traditional business and you see people successful at traditional business, you think that's the only way to be successful. So you're ignorant to the fact that you never learned network marketing, so you never want to even indulge in it. And then some people put a bad taste in other people's mouth as far as network marketing is concerned, because one of their friends might have joined network marketing and they weren't successful, so they think that network marketing was the problem. But really and truly, it was them that was the problem.
Right.
Because I tell people all the time is that you go badmouth in network marketing, but one question I always ask them, I say, is the company still around? And the answer is always yes. So it wasn't network marketing that failed you, it was you that failed you.
Right.
Because if the company's still around, obviously there's people in there doing something different than what you did.
Right.
So obviously you didn't work it. It didn't not work for you. So that's the same reason why traditional business people don't get it, because they're listening to somebody else, or they're just ignorant to the fact that it really works, but they won't take the time out to listen.
Do you think that some people get into their whatever niche of their business and then they're afraid to try other things because they found, okay, doing hair is what I'm good at, cutting hair is what I'm good at, and then they say, okay, well, I'm not sure if I'm good at this. Do you think that people are like afraid to try something different because they find something that they're actually good at?
They're not only afraid, but they're comfortable. So when you become comfortable, you're scared of change. And change is the only constant in life. So at the end of the day, they find something that they're good at, and they don't want to change from that because they're scared to try something different and fail. So that's why most of them stay in wherever industry that they're in, because they're making a decent living or whatever the case is, and they don't want to venture out. It's like, I like to relate it to like, it's like a cactus. They're holding on to it and it's painful. And then when you try to put them to something else, they grab even tighter. And it becomes more painful, but they just refuse to leave what they're in. And that's just because they don't know no better.
This next Platinum Senior Vice President promotion the Cox family's been with 5 Links for 6 years. And when we talk about the new 5 Links motto is to help people live a better life. To me, this represents 5 Links more than anything, is what this team has done to get this position, Diamond Dave Cox's position, to Platinum Senior Vice President. His wife Arkell rallied with the team to make it happen. And they worked hard, they worked tirelessly, they put a customer push on. And I know the team wanted to do this to honor Dave's memory. Because Dave was a great man, and he was taken way before his time. So Arkell wants everybody to remember, life isn't fair, but diamonds don't shine bright until they're crushed and put under tremendous pressure. She says her mentor is and always will be her husband, Dave Diamond Cox. Dave was a great friend. He was a great leader of this company. He was already very, very successful in business prior to 5 Links, owning multiple IHOP franchises. You know, I can remember I can remember being on the SVP trip, and they had a video because we were playing a basketball game, and Rich was filming, and we were playing 3-on-3 basketball. It gets real competitive with the SVPs, and I don't know what I did. I did a crossover move on Dave, and he ended up falling over his feet, fell down. And the audience went crazy, came on out onto the court. And, you know, it was that night when Dave wasn't feeling well. And he had came down the next day, and they still had won the tournament. So they had won the 3-on-3 tournament at that SVP trip. And he just said he had some, his stomach, he wasn't feeling well. And we had no idea that a week later when he got back to New York, he was going to tell us he had stomach cancer. But he fought, and he fought all the way through. He didn't want people to come and see him like that. I mean, he's just such a tremendous leader, an inspiration to so many people. He's an inspiration to this company. So the first platinum senior vice president in New York, it's only fitting that it's the Cox family. That was his goal. So I want everybody to please show some respect and congratulate the newest platinum senior vice president out of the state of New York, Arkell and Dave Diamond Cox.
When I started this business, I didn't start to hit SVP. I love it. It's great, right? I started out to be a platinum senior vice president, platinum senior vice president, platinum senior vice president, platinum senior vice president, platinum senior vice president.
Diamonds are forever. They are all I need to please me. Oh, baby, how you doing? You know, I'm gonna come right to the chase, Some women were made, but me, myself, I like to think that I was created for a special purpose. And if I am a reflection of him, then I must be fly, because it's light, it shines so bright, I wouldn't lie. I didn't know my own strength.
5 Links. I want to thank God, who is the author of my life. He's ordained this walk, this journey for me. I stand here today because He has given me the grace to stand before you. I want to thank the co-founders to have a vision such as this and to stand and create such an industry and to be leaders in this industry. It takes guts, it takes foreknowledge, and I respect them for that. I want to thank my little big brothers in this business. Jovens, Tupac, Larod, Marty. You guys forget sometimes I'm a girl. You push me to my limits. You hold me accountable. But I thank you. I wouldn't be here right now if you guys didn't do that. So thank you. Coach K came to New York about a month ago. And she got in my face. She said, stop playing. Let's figure this thing out. Get it done. I was a little offended. But she was right. She said, you got a month. Show them what you're made of. So I thank you. She did my makeup today, too. I really want to thank the Dave Diamond Cox Legacy team. Not just the people in his downline, people from all over, many cities, many states. You didn't care if he was in your organization or you was in his. You said, what can I do? I want to help you make this happen. So this is your walk. This is your journey. This is your victory. You wanted this just as much as I did. And I thank you. I know Dave thanks you. The crybabies behind me. My family. I love them. They hold me up. They're my base. They let me be me. As crazy as I may be, or erratic, you don't have to agree, but they hold me down, and I love them. I could not walk, this journey, or take care of Dave the way I did, because they took care of me. So that was my strength, and I love you guys. So for those of you who don't know my story, I'm going to explain to you why, real quickly, why I'm here as New York City's first platinum senior vice president. Yes. My husband came home and he said to me, Beb, I found our retirement money. I said, where's that? He said, it's called 5 Links. Really, Beb? We're developers. This is not what we do. He said, trust me. I'm going to build this thing to be about $20,000 a month, and it's going to grow to about $200,000 a month. You take care of the traditional businesses, and let me take care of this. So those of you who know Dave, you can't stop him. He went out, and he set out to build this business. He put me in the business. I became an ND. Still was like, okay, whatever. Got my little credit card and a text that said your card was loaded with $1,200. I said, Beb, this thing is working. How I get down? He said, don't worry about it. Needless to say, Dave never got the chance, the opportunity to see where his fruits and his labor was going. We was on that trip that Jason spoke about, and a lot of you didn't know that he was ill. And I think that's why Jason got the up on him on that trip, because he wasn't feeling good. But we came back to New York, and we went to the hospital, and he spent the next 3 months of his life there. And when he did that, I didn't know at the time that this retirement money he spoke about would be one of those things that I would be up here telling you that's the important part of the compensation plan. That's the part they don't show you. They show you the Bentley. They show you the BMW. They show you the stock. Let me tell you, it's all good. But when you have something that is willable, that you can pass on to your children's children, that's what's important. You don't want to will your children your job, working on the weekend, working on their birthdays, working on holidays, working the days that they don't want to get out of bed. My husband planted the seed. I just water it. Plant your seeds so your children can pick the roses. I am here standing before you, proud, grateful, humbled, on behalf of my husband, Dave Diamond Cox, New York's first Platinum Senior Vice President. I love you, babe. Guys, build your legacy. Work hard. Don't work harder. Work smarter. I love you guys. I love you all for accepting me into this, something I didn't see or understand. God bless you all.
My lovely wife. My lovely wife. My lovely wife. Isn't she hot? When God placed her in my life, He knew exactly what He was doing. Because it ain't always been sweet. It ain't always been nice. I failed at more things I succeeded at, right? But at the end of the day, she stood by me through the rough times, the hard times, and I love you forever for that. I truly do.